Today I figured I'd give you guys my top 10 favorite Wii games list. We're about to round out the last of my top 10 list. All that's left after this is my top 10 PS3 games. And at some point I might do a PS4, but I'm still debating on that one. Wii was a very unique system with a unique control scheme, and I don't think there'll ever be anything quite like it again. This is a system that I've always enjoyed. It was a large part of my teen years. And so I figure without further ado, I give you my list of my top 10 favorite Nintendo Wii games. Coming in at number 10 is something of a curveball for some, but that's actually Spider-Man 3. Now, I actually do have this game on the PlayStation as well, and I actually really do like this version. But funnily enough, the PlayStation 3 version is actually not the best version of the game. It has the best graphics and probably the most lengthy story in comparison, but the Wii version is just better. The graphics definitely leave something to be desired, but you actually get to swing around the city using the nunchucks, which is just awesome. It actually makes you feel like Spider-Man when you're flipping your left and right hands to attach to the buildings on your left and right. Also, there's an upgrade system that's not available in the PlayStation version as well, that actually lets you customize and improve Spider-Man's stats the more you play. Also, the black suit doesn't play just like the red suit, which it does in the PS3 version. You wouldn't think that the Wii version would be better, but in this case, this is the best version of the game. And if you have yourself a Wii, I highly recommend this game. One of my favorite Spider-Man games, and one of the best movie games out there. Up next is The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. Both of these games were also released on the 360 and PS3, but the Wii version is my favorite. It's just so fun going around as Darth Vader's apprentice, swinging around your Wiimote and using it as a lightsaber and taking out hordes of enemies. Really fun, really entertaining. And if you love Star Wars and you want to feel like a Jedi, actually getting to swing around your lightsaber, I recommend both of these games. Up next, we have an awesome movie game, Scarface: The World Is Yours. This game was also released on the PS2 and Xbox, but the Wii version definitely takes the cake, allowing you to swing around the Wii remote to defeat enemies with a chainsaw, as well as being able to aim and shoot with a Wii remote as well. This is the definitive version of the game. I love this game, and I hope one day that we do get a sequel. And if you haven't played Scarface: The World Is Yours and you love the movie, you got to give this game a shot. Up next is Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Probably one of my favorite of the Metroid Prime games. It's probably close between this one and 2. But I really do love this game. And the gameplay and action is just great. And if you want to play the game on more modern systems, it has been re-released for the Switch as well. Up next is something of a tie, and that's between Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince. Also available on 360 and PS3, the Wii versions are the best versions of these games because they allow you to use the Wiimote as a wand. You essentially can also use it to stir potions in potions class and have duels and fencing classes. It's really fun and very entertaining, and has some of the best action in the entire franchise. If you love Harry Potter and you want to swing around a wand, you might want to give these games a shot. Up next, a very underrated game, and that's Mad World. Essentially a game where you slaughter countless enemies in gruesome fashion in this black and white, crazy, messed up world in this game show-like setting. Mad World is one of a kind. Clearly inspired by a bunch of grindhouse films, and heck, even given the character a chainsaw arm, clearly inspired by Evil Dead, you can't go wrong with this fun and zany, wacky game. Not enough people talk about this one, and unfortunately, it really went under the radar, but this game is highly entertaining. Mad World. If you want a crazy time, check it out. Up next is one of my favorite racing games of all time, that's Mario Kart Wii. My favorite Mario Kart game probably still has to be Mario Kart 64, but I think Mario Kart Wii might be a close second. It's just crazy and over the top. Motorcycles play really well in this game. The tracks are fun. The graphics are bright and colorful. The character selection is really good. It's everything you want in a Mario Kart game. If you love Mario Kart, so this will give you everything you want with some motion controls thrown in. Highly recommended and very entertaining. Coming at number 3 is the best Zelda game on the console, and that's The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. The Wii also had Twilight Princess, but this game was not made for the Wii. Much like Breath of the Wild was made for the Wii U and just ported to the Switch, this game was made for the GameCube and just kind of lazily ported to the Wii. There's no real motion controls with the sword in this game, but this game more than makes up for that. If you want to play Twilight Princess, get the GameCube version. But if you want to swing around a sword with a Wiimote, check out Skyward Sword. This game is really entertaining. This game perfectly encapsulates great Wii controls, and I think this game actually might take advantage of the Wii controller better than any other game on the system. Truly a great Zelda game, and if you have yourself a modern console, this game has been released on the Switch as well. Up next, we have another awesome movie game, The Godfather Black Hand Edition. This is an amazing game. I absolutely adore the Godfather game. This is the best version of the first game. It was also released in high def on the PS3, and if you have a PS3, I recommend the Dawn's Edition, which is pretty fun. But the Black Hand Edition is the complete package. It has pretty much all the features featured in the Dawn's Edition, but also has really badass motion controls. You can aim and shoot with the Wiimote, as well as swing around bats and clubs and bricks and everything you can imagine. This is the best version of the game. I was actually really surprised that this outdid the 360 and PS3 version, but alas, here we are. If you want a badass game based on a badass movie, check out The Godfather Black Hand Edition. But nothing can beat my number one game on the Wii, and that's Super Mario Galaxy. I do really love Mario Galaxy. Not quite as much as Sunshine or 64, but it's really close to those games. I do like the sequel, Galaxy 2, but to me it just did not feel like a sequel. It felt like Mario Galaxy 1.5. A lot of the stars are exactly the same, and they threw in Yoshi to try to add variety, as well as more Luigi content. But it doesn't feel like a new idea. It felt like just, hey, here's Mario Galaxy with a little more stuff. That's not bad. I still do enjoy that. But if I'm being completely honest, I kind of feel like more of the same, which is why I do prefer the first one. This game is very entertaining, and it's also available in 3D All-Stars on the Switch. So if you want to play this game on modern consoles, you can. Or if you have yourself a Wii or a Wii U, play this version. It's really fun. Highly recommended, and my favorite Nintendo Wii game. Well, that's my list, but I figured before you go, I'd give a few honorable mentions. First up, we have Red Steel and its sequel, Red Steel 2. The first Red Steel is kind of clunky, but the second one really did expand upon that idea. Basically, it's a first-person sword and shooting game, and it's really fun, with lots of good action and fun motion controls. Though I do prefer the GameCube version, the Wii version of Resident Evil is really great, and you can actually play it with the GameCube controller. All the extra DLC content, not including the GameCube version, is also featured here, so it's kind of the definitive version of the game, outside of maybe the Switch version. Really fun and really entertaining, and you can't go wrong with any of the versions of Resident Evil. I also recommend Tenkaichi 2 and 3. I do love both of these games, but I do slightly prefer the PS2 versions. The Wii controls are fun, but they don't add enough to the game to really separate them from the PS2 versions. You can't go wrong with the Tenkaichi series, though, and I'm very much looking forward to Tenkaichi 4. The only solo Dragon Ball game on the Wii, and that's Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo. This game actually almost made the list. It's a really fun 2.5D beat-em-up that takes place during the Dragon Ball saga. You get to play as Goku on his quest to fight King Piccolo. It's very fun. It follows the manga. The graphics are beautifully rendered here and look just like the anime. You can't go wrong with Dragon Ball. This is one of the most unique games in the series. I also recommend Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop. I love the original Dead Rising on 360, and this is a really fun port. It is slightly compromised because the mall is basically the same size, but certain areas are sectioned off, and the game doesn't have as many zombies on screen. But surprisingly, they did manage to capture the look and feel of the original game with some slight caveats. But in their place, you actually get improved shooting and better melee mechanics. Overall, the 360 version is better because it just flows better and looks better. But I do think this one might actually slightly play better, at least in terms of combat. Sadly, there are features missing, like the camera, but apart from that, still a very good version of the game that not enough people talk about. I, of course, recommend Twilight Princess. If you don't have the GameCube version, I do recommend this version, but out of the three versions, the Wii U, GameCube, and this one would be in third, but still not a bad version of the game. I also recommend Okami, a very fun adventure game with a Japanese art style. You can't go wrong with Okami. Originally released on the PS2, this game basically utilizes motion controls and expands upon that original release. Very fun and one that I highly recommend. Lastly, I also recommend Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions and Web of Shadows. These games are much better on the 360, but the Wii versions are unique, and though they're not quite up to the standards of their high-def counterparts, there is some fun to be had of these versions, and they do utilize some motion controls. That's my list. I thank y'all for watching. The Wii really does have some great games, and many of which that I love. This has been a fun list to make, and peace out.